Rain poured heavily over the small village of Abimala, turning dusty paths into slippery streams. Little Amina, barefoot and drenched, stumbled across the muddy road carrying a basket of yams for her mother. The sky was dark, clouds heavy with a promise of thunder. Suddenly, a shrill scream echoed through the woods. Curiosity and fear gripped her, but Amina's heart was too kind to ignore someone in danger. Pushing through the tall grass, she saw a man sprawled on the ground, soaked and shivering. His clothes were torn, and he looked weak and helpless. Without hesitation, Amina helped him to his feet. "Are you hurt, sir?" she asked, her voice trembling. The stranger smiled faintly, his eyes gleaming with a strange warmth. I think so," he whispered. No one in the village had ever seen a man like him. He was dressed in torn fine clothes, something neither poor nor simple. But Amina didn't care. She led him to her small hut, wrapping him in a coarse blanket and offering him the little food she had. Little did she know, the man she rescued was no ordinary traveler. Behind his mud-streaked face and torn clothes lay a secret worth millions. And by helping him, Amina's life was about to change forever. Amina lived with her mother in a small clay house on the outskirts of Abimala. Her father had died when she was very young, leaving them in poverty. Despite their hardships, Amina had a heart full of courage and kindness. Each day, she walked miles to fetch water from the river, helped neighbors with chores, and worked in the fields. Her mother, Mama Ifioma, was stern but loving. She often reminded Amina to be careful around strangers, warning of greedy men or village thieves. But Amina had a rare gift. She saw goodness in people, even when the world seemed harsh. The village itself was humble, with mud huts, chickens wandering freely, and children playing in dusty courtyards. Life was simple, yet filled with struggles. The villagers worked hard for little reward, and gossip often carried faster than the wind. Amina was well-liked but poor. Her beauty and kindness were often noticed, and some villagers secretly envied her. Among those who watched her from a distance was her neighbor, a wealthy merchant named Chinidu. He had riches, but his heart was filled with greed. He often mocked Amina for her poverty, spreading rumors to make her life harder. Yet, Amina remained gentle, never retaliating, even when she was ridiculed. The stranger she rescued brought a mysterious energy to the village. He never spoke of who he was, answering questions vaguely. The villagers were wary, but Amina insisted he rest in their hut. At night, she gave him food and listened to his faint murmurs about distant lands, storms, and cities far beyond Abimala. Unbeknownst to Amina, the stranger had traveled in luxury all his life. His family owned businesses and properties across Africa. He had been traveling incognito to escape a trap set by greedy relatives seeking his fortune. Now, lost and injured, he found himself dependent on a humble girl whose heart was purer than any palace he had ever known. The days passed, and the stranger, whom Amina began calling Motsi, slowly regained his strength. He helped her in small ways, carrying water or repairing her mother's broken roof. The villagers watched in wonder, some suspicious, some curious, but all fascinated by the strange bond forming between the poor girl and the mysterious man. As Motsi regained strength, the village began to notice his presence more. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Who is this man Amina brought from the forest?" they asked. Chinidu, the greedy merchant, grew suspicious. He had a keen eye for wealth and opportunity. He started asking questions, trying to figure out if Motsi had hidden riches. He even tried to bribe villagers to learn more, but they remained loyal to Amina and her kindness. Meanwhile, Amina and Motsi grew closer. She shared stories of her life, her struggles, her dreams, and her wish for a better future. Motsi listened quietly, often with a smile that seemed both sad and comforting. He admired her courage and goodness, but he kept his true identity a secret. The conflict deepened one evening when a violent storm hit Abimala. The river overflowed, threatening to wash away homes. Amina's hut was at risk, and she ran to secure her mother and neighbors. Motsi rushed to help, but Chinidu saw the chaos as an opportunity. He attempted to steal valuables from Amina's hut while everyone was distracted. Amina caught him mid-act. "Why would you do this?" she cried. "You're worse than the storm." Chinidu sneered. Everything has a price, girl. And I intend to claim what is rightfully mine. Motsi intervened, pulling Chinedu away and revealing his strength in a way that startled the greedy man. Chinedu, though cunning, realized he had underestimated Motsi's capabilities. But the greatest challenge was yet to come. Word spread to the city that Motsi, the lost traveler, had been seen in Abimala. His treacherous relatives, desperate for his fortune, arrived under the guise of law and authority. They demanded to take him back, claiming he had been missing for weeks and owed them obedience. Amina refused to let them take him. He is hurt. He has done no wrong, she shouted, standing firm despite fear. Her bravery inspired the villagers, some of whom stood by her side, while others wavered, torn between loyalty and fear of the stranger's power. As night fell, the tension grew unbearable. The storm continued outside, echoing the storm within the village. Amina's heart raced. She didn't know Motsi's true identity, nor the danger surrounding him. Yet she stayed by his side, ready to fight for the man who had unknowingly changed her life forever. The next morning, a confrontation took place in the village square. Motsi's relatives, dressed in fine suits and demanding authority, faced the villagers. Amina stood at Motsi's side, holding nothing but her courage. "Where is my inheritance?" one relative demanded. "Hand him over now." Motsi stepped forward, and for the first time, he revealed his true self. He lifted his coat, showing the emblem of his family, a mark known across the land. The villagers gasped, and Chinedu's jaw dropped. The man they thought was a helpless traveler was none other than Motsi Abiola, the heir to one of the wealthiest families in Africa. "I have lived in disguise," Motsi announced, his voice calm but commanding. "I came here not for riches, but for peace. And I found it because of one person, Amina." The relatives stuttered, unable to respond. Their schemes had failed because they never anticipated a girl from a poor village would change the course of Motsi's life. Chinedu, realizing the truth, tried to intervene, but the villagers, now loyal to Motsi and Amina, surrounded him. The man who once mocked Amina for her poverty was powerless against the unity of the village and the righteousness of her actions. Motsi turned to Amina, kneeling slightly. "You saved me when no one else would. Your kindness, courage, and heart are worth more than all the gold in the world. Let me ensure that your life, and your mother's, are never filled with hardship again." Amina's eyes widened, disbelief and joy mixing in a single heartbeat. She never imagined that the man she helped out of pure kindness would become the person who could change her life forever. With Motsi's revelation, life in Abimala transformed. He used his wealth to improve the village, repairing homes, digging wells, and providing schools for children who had never learned to read. But the greatest change was not in buildings or roads, it was in the hearts of the villagers. Amina's courage became legendary. She had shown that true wealth lies in kindness, courage, and the strength to do what is right, even in the face of fear. Chinedu was banished from the village, humiliated by his own greed and the villagers' disdain. He wandered off, never to trouble Abimala again. Motsi's treacherous relatives, realizing they could not overpower goodness, returned to the city, empty-handed but wiser. Amina and Motsi remained close, bound not by wealth or status, but by respect and shared experience. She continued her daily life in the village, now with security and support, but her heart remained humble. Motsi often reminded her, the richest treasures are hidden in the simplest hearts. The story of the poor village girl and the hidden billionaire spread far and wide. Travelers told it to their children, storytellers added it to songs and plays. It became a tale of hope, courage, and the idea that one act of kindness can change the course of life in ways no one can imagine. And so, Amina learned a powerful truth, that helping others, without expectation or reward, can unlock miracles. She had rescued a stranger, but in truth, she had rescued herself, from poverty, from fear, and from the belief that the world could only be cruel. Motsi's secret may have been wealth, but Amina's secret was greater, her heart was priceless. And in that quiet village, under the same old skies, life went on, but it was brighter, warmer, and full of the kind of magic only true kindness can bring.